Yeah, it has been. And they had some good performances here, a dominant game against Zomblers, but that's a game that I think that they should be winning most every time, along with a loss that was tied against Tsunami. So I think that basically tells the same story of those question marks. You're going to see an A play coming forward, pop out of the apartments.
Oof. Next, this is where he needs to shine, right here at this anchor. This was the job title, but surprise, here comes Mason Sanderson swinging out, and he's got a double to line it up into a 2v2. Rek gonna put in the digits here, and this is the duo that we did point out. Gabe and Rek are gonna have to stand up today and just be so potent as they double swing, but look at how that turns out. It's the German swinging by all the way with Swisher, who hops on the defuse. You know, we can talk about a lot of these roster moves, and I think we can give M80 the award for probably best roster move in the offseason in North America, though it's not too crazy of a competition this year. Big boost on the other side, and Slacks is going to be dropping 2. That had the point at which it was a little uncomfortable, but they survive.
It's those little gimmicks that I think is going to make this really hard for Chicken Coop. Like, M80 has a lot of those, and I'm not saying that they're a team that wins by gimmicks on this map. That's not true, but what is true is that M80 has a lot more time that they've invested into this, and, you know, even with a roster move, you know, pretty recent, I think that with Heck's experience, betting him in it's just like a whole different situation than, you know, if you were trying to play compare and contrast. So as a time whittles its way down, this force buy is basically just flat entirely. 4 kills for Slacks. He gets the first 2. Good looks on that one, or at least on the ability for Chicken Coop to bounce back. Swisher tested, but we're gonna call that one a wash. All about an ace on the anti-eco. It's pretty easy when they're just gonna be shooting with Glocks, though, to be fair.
They are smoked off right at the bat. 35 seconds to go.
That's tough.
And M80 are reading it well. They got 3 players here on B. If this is where they decide to pull the trigger, they got an immense amount of boost right now to try and just let this out. I mean, as soon as this drop goes down, what do you even do? Fight Swisher's here, just take the save.
Yeah, that's brutal. And Lake's like the 3rd man to activate. This is a setup that I don't think they're breaking.
And with 9 seconds, they'll at least attempt something. And Gabe gonna find these entries alongside with J Chance, who's gonna get the bomb with enough time, but not with enough coverage. There was a 3rd man in the cut right there who stood up right when he needed to. Wreckmeister may get a couple more cents off of it.
You know, from that point on, like I said, I was singing the praises of the setup. It stands tall with Lake the final man to, you know, put the finishing touches on that one. It's a little ambitious from Slacks, but he gets the information he's searching for. That Molly, though, they're not going to actually do anything.
This is more like it. Just throw in your bodies at the board here. I really respect the fast play for the Chicken Coop, but it looks like it's going to be the Knight. It's Hex that walks up a couple more feet, takes that peek into lane, and it will be the triple out here for the Canadian player backing up his AWP. Wreckmeister, you're surrounded, my friend. Hands not up as a sign, but M80 will find 5, and that will be... have lots to talk about with those moves. Luckily, they have their own BO3 slot tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hold
speak about it.
Well, pick up the pace again with Guard to Banana.
Oh, man.
Pretty well last time, but only a 1-for-1.
He's feeling around this smoke. The in-game leader finds a second head up top. And the best start to the round that we have seen from the Coop so far. This Inferno has been heads above, but I don't really blame them for not wanting to, you know, pick back into a train, which, you know, M80 seemed to be very adamant about, you know, trying to, you know, get polished up. Obviously seeing into overpass quite quickly compared to most of the projects. Hex trying to tease on this smoke. What type of timing is he going to find here? May have just heard a hop back, but now has been spotted and should be double peaked and only takes J Chance. So Chicken Coop, you're up 4 versus 1, but with literally Seabass only 1 here walking healthy, this could be a slip-up situation, and Sin already found 1.
Yeah, the problem is the numbers. Even if, you know, there's probably some confirmation on a little bit of this damage, but not all of it. I don't think there's any reasonable person who would think, yeah, let's send this back in a 1v4.
Sprinting over Lake. Another smoke there. It was that Molotov they had existing in their pockets late in the scenario before, but Swisher is going to have to dolly on the way back, and look at this. Sin to just double up again. Trying on these late plays is just not going to pay off. Bullied in the early round, and you are raked away in the late round. Is there even a point at which the Coop can get involved? Walking it up. Really good check out of Wreckmeister, who's blazing on the entries and really has brought a lot of juice and energy to this rifling core, as we've talked about a couple of times already. Hex back and forth on that angle. There's plenty of utility still left in the kit. And at this minute mark, he's going to cut off at least the access to brackets out there. Sin evens up the numbers, finding his opposing IGL sneaking around. Going quick then.
Problem is that, you know, both these guys are towards the site proper. Hex, somehow gets two. The fact that there's nobody in the pit doesn't matter as Seabass finally gets the trade, but Hex has done enough. Reliable as ever.
The Uruguayan player puts down a smoke that's going to get all the way off of Moto for a lot of positioning that opens up, and it's Swisher might himself have to close the gap. J-Chance, these 30 seconds, will take it as he pleases. Swisher may need a couple more seconds to go. Chicken Coop are going to get comfortable here and try and actually land a knockout punch in a post plant.
See what that looks like. The problem is they got to move. And got to move quick. Unfortunately, Swisher meets a brick wall. That's difficult to break through, especially considering Moto's smoked the whole time. So Sin's low HP. He's either going to survive or try and get some exits. Either way, the end of the round is inbound. He'll take one with him. With the op recovered, Seabass should survive.
Obviously, they joined back up, and I think if that experience shows out, it's going to be by not letting opportunities like this kind of miss them.
Yeah, I don't think that this is the type of opportunity that is, you know, make or break for this team. That's the good news.
No.
Met with a nasty nade, by the way, at the top of Banana. Does like 120 damage, if I'm counting somewhat correctly. And then they pivot back, hoping that they can walk towards mid. But then they see Slocks is right there waiting. And an AK, or rather, in this case, LycusEmpire around the other corner. It is Lake. It's that man that is now leaning back towards B. He's been here every time, and it's all the time that these are late plays with lots of utility on the CT side. Lake's got those flashes again, Mark.
Swisher on top in the new first orange, and Lake looking like he wants to just torpedo himself through the smoke on top of the contact, and it is magnetic from Swisher, and Lake makes it so clean. Not a casualty in sight. 8-2 right here. It's a masterclass from M80 over here on this Inferno.
You know, it's a little bit of an overall letdown right now for Chicken Coop, which is, it's bad news because this is their map pick.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, like you spoke about, it's going to be, you know, really well practiced, super nuanced M80 on an Inferno like this. That's a very tactical look. So to be honest with you, I actually think I give them a larger chance on this Mirage, even if it is, you know, kind of a little bit less often seen by these fellas. It'll, you know, be an opportunity to literally just kind of have a deathmatch opportunity to see this through on the arches. It will not even actually get go. Rug all the way pulled out here from the newest gentleman on this squad, and he is making Chicken Coop look like a fraud straight up. A 4K for Hex. Welcome to the squad, my friend.
10-2 would be pretty bad news for Chicken Coop. At least the third round, I'd call it a requirement.
Yeah, I mean, between that difference, it's not going to make up much. I think they are, you know, probably excited for opportunity to second half pistol, but taking it round by round, I think their A site desire is probably the most, you know, likely point of success for them. They have put in a good couple of post-plant situations when they've had the opportunity to do so. Right now, they're running into the horns of Lake, who's got to and continues to bake out with this Deagle. Won't get the actual crawl. Hexed on this anchor. This is why they pay him the checks. Let's see how he survives all on his own. Unfortunate for the Canadian. He goes down with nothing to say about it.
Yeah, but look at the damage, right? J-Chance is low.
A lot of time, too.
not necessarily all that healthy, and Swisher's already arrived on the scene. Sin's on the other side. This duo on the retake we've seen before, and they're going to try it again. MDS has really no choice but to try and step forward and just isolate some duels. Time taken, though, and that little stutter step from Sin buys enough time for Swisher to arrive and now get the defuse.
Wreckmeister.
That step was heard.
Got some dualies, and he's got an inclination. That bird, Wreckmeister surviving, gets a little bit of help out of J-Chance, and now it is going to be Lane. That should be a good look for him as Wreck gets a little bit of cover, but they've caught up to the site here, and it is MDS that has to throw himself through the smoke alongside Seabass, who arrives just in time to give a golden key to the chicken coop for a second half. No bomb plant for M80 means they're likely going to have to give up a Glock round without too much to say about it. And the heights that you reached at the major.
Yeah, I mean, just playing compare and contrast, right? Like, Legacy, I'd say
it's my favorite game.
Came into that as like significantly worse in the eyes of like probably everybody, like every pundit, than M80, and then rose to the heights that are not even close to comparable to where M80 kind of ended, and I think that is what really was the reasoning by trying to make a change for M80, is that they wanted that to be different.
Oh man, they're managing a little bit. Old Gabe here's got to reload. Show him some mercy. Not too much. A 4K out here from Gabe.
See what this A play has to offer. It's 4 up through Arch. They're going to take it long wise. 3 in defense, but this does complicate matters. It's just Hex just coming through the apartment side. Great trade initially. Now Hex can activate with Pity. It's only going to get the 1, and oh boy, Seabass able to survive.
Gotta chase him down, equipping with that MP9, and now all down onto Swisher. There's 2 in a pack on the other side, and Swisher knows that well, so he's gonna smoke him. 1v1 now against Gabe, who just had that 4K and is just as hot as Swisher on the other side, but it's his head that will drop. And the Coop, they pull it up to a clutch situation, and it's this time they're coming on top. Might be a bit of a surprise here. It depends on the timing. Lake can't quite find the full look at the headshot, but it'll be Hex that turns that corner, and now provoked. It's the chicken coop that are going to have to survive above the pressure right now. That's not going to give him a chance to get ready. Not going to wait for a second to go. They're just going to pull onto this gas and absolutely throw it through the floorboards right now. They speed into the site. They throw this bomb down, and they're going to be locking every single catalog right now. Chicken coop are going to be chilling over here on A, holding on to their 2 guns. They just go Echo on that same play. Maybe a little bit faster because it's MDS that'll unfortunately just run into disaster there. He had to commit to the play that they do call up. It's simple, but to be honest with you, that's what worked for Chicken Coop. I mean, to be honest with you, they got, 2 pretty familiar matchups to them, but ones that I, really wanted to see how exactly they would match the tone of. Wreckmeister finds a lurking Hext and is going to be dropping him. They should have the information of a B play now.
The A bomb site. It's about to be split. Walk through the smoke straight up. And in Lake, in position. Slacks is hearing all of this. How many can he get?
Getting none. The Uruguayan player all alone. And unfortunately, he will stay alone in the grave. He is all alone for it. Sin and Lake. How are they going to make this one happen? Low HP for it. Right now, they got to be slick. They got to be stylish. It's a nade that will just buy them back. And they got to worry about multiple sides right now. And Mason, he's going to stand like a turret up so close. How does he try to swipe this one away? It's by lining them up and just dropping them like pins. He pivots and just absolutely looks perfect. On the 30, at least it's on your opper. Next. Finding a curious Wreckmeister, finding a little bit of revenge in this sense. Honestly, in my head, I was kind of making the comparison that, M80 kind of got this in common. Making a move sort of like Chicken Coop. Finding a rifle that's going to bring a whole lot more life. What they were missing, so to speak, to this core. And try and open up kind of the expectations, the ceiling way higher to both of these rosters. It's just that you know, you compare where both of these teams are on their journeys. And obviously, M80 are making majors. The Coop are trying to do better in these RMRs. Well, you got to get through these VRSs. You got to improve right now, and they're doing it well. It's a 1v4 for MDS. And off the course, off these trains, off these Dust 2s, that's all they've seen in Thunderpick. On to an Inferno. They challenge against one of M80's best. You're thrown right into the water by Lake. It is a 13-5 that is put down onto the Coop. We got Paladin waiting in the wings to break this one down after a dominating victory. You know, obviously you're seeing a little bit more wiggle room in there from... This is a team that, you know, North American fans want to see at the major take a next step. Here goes Seabass and J-Chance. They go right out from under, and they're trying to make M80 uncomfortable. They have, but it's going to have to be right here in the site where they're going to have to mix it. It's Wreckmeister that must have heard us talking about him in the green room because he's got 3 shots out of that USP. Something tells me we may not be done with this round. I was going to prompt that up for potentially a clutch attempt, but unless M80, excuse me,
Chicken Coop a little bit more of a chance than they would.
Going to the den of Wreckmeister may cost them, is now they are going to be bringing it right to Seabass, who may go down with absolutely nothing, and they actually connect. They're going to be stirring this further, but it's Wreckmeister that is actually the first traded out there before Seabass, so all is well in the world of M80, locking down this B site with a smoke on the window. They just got to take these fights confidently.
Well, they both got their 1, so at least that gets the numbers in a reasonable space, but this additional smoke is actually really problematic for Door. They're going to try and drop a lurk one on their own, but that gives Slacks a little bit of an easier time right now.
Jumping through on that, Slacks can potentially line them up on that Khalil, but it's Lake who was just so amazing in that first map. USP pulled right here, and now Sin, he's going to need to just square this one up properly, but it is the up player that just has to recover a kit. Unfortunately, no time about it. Just slide right past him as he was getting on that pathing. I mean, well, in 1:05, they set their pace for it, and they try and get their rhythm all the way on, but can they even wait for the beat to drop? Lake can't. Blind, he's going to be taking out J-Chance here, and knowing that that player was all the way potent at default, you got to know where this is going to be in the aggressive stance that they were in. Wreckmeister rotates through, and with the HP that we have eyes on, not sure if that information is presented to the Coop. It may look a little bit more appetizing to go for, but it's this kill that needs to go well, and that's basically your ticket out of here, and the probably response to fade away. Wreckmeister with not much else, not, you know, many places else to go there in CT. He has to see out of it. And I know that just sitting there watching it, I know it was not even them being the best Polish team at that tournament for their money. Great turnout out there for Kaleshi. Wreckmeister finds a Lake down there, all the way making it into a 4v4, a bit of revenge for how that duel went last time. Hex finds quite a bit of ground here. Off guard is Seabass. He'll know that territory well. Familiar wheelhouse feeling at a 4v2 stance. M80, like we spoke about it earlier, how this may look on an Inferno, how this may feel, it just feels like a bit of a death match right here.
This isn't over just yet. The bomb is actually in a pretty uncomfortable position in Sand's hands, but he's got the perfect timing. Gabe, on an understandable search for like some further information, but also just like anything at all when you're in a 2v3 like this and M80 are so spread out. J-Chance, nothing is actually clear, which is so frustrating for him. You can see he's looking in every single direction and has no idea where the enemy could be. That's the type of chaos that M80 are sowing within the Coop. One of those situations where you gotta look to who's in front of you and try with whatever you can. A little bit of another wrinkle up into ladder, but unfortunately for Wreckmeister, it's only the single kill, and that's from his grave that he's actually the one to pick that up. Seabass, he's the other guy that I think, you know, had been doing pretty well in some of those moments on Inferno. Gonna have to stand tall. He's so very alone.
Seabass just slides, almost gets a good look onto Swisher, but this man is so fresh. Swisher was questioning his point in the team and if he would continue with this project because they used to know what was going to happen, but the rest of this round seems to be a mystery right here as Slacks, he drops to this floor, but now will be fully put down. It is J-Chance that has that squared up 1v1.
He's the one to pick up the kill in the 1v2 as well. attempt from Slacks, of who has taken the opening pick in this round already.
Shot like out of a cannon and absolutely blows Lake and Sin out of the water. That is insane. Great start. Spearheaded into middle. Wreckmeister is not leaving anybody else out on the green right now. This is his course, and right now it's M80 that are a couple man down. Got a tee off on A.
Yeah, first time, basically this whole map, that M80 have actually been in a very uncomfortable position in like a mid-round to late round scenario. Last one, a big one, but that's all about J-Chance. Now they stack the deck in the opposite side. Great opener there from Slacks, and Swisher's got the other side from the ramp, and it is looking like M80 have found a way to break through, despite the difficulties, despite Wreckmeister picking up those 2 kills in mid.
So their op posted right there was obviously under pressure of that B-site clutch opportunity. Here can hit the shots long range and absolutely deck you. Sees the forehead, finds it through the plywood, and right now it's M80 that eliminates Seabass out of the ticket booth.
Gonna be late supported. Fight for this entry, and Gabe's so very loud about what he's playing right now.
And in front of that Molotov too, Lake is going to know exactly where he's gotten off to. They're going to be boxing them out. It's chased through it, and it's just a chain that is blocked right there out on that A site. It flashes up. They're going to try and throw themselves into this, and the brick wall will allot it. Because right now, I mean, the spams aren't going their way. It's one more member that Slacks finds back from middle. Sin burned out here, and Kit on the back of Wreckmeister. Seabass finds Swisher and brings us into a 3v3.
Bomb's not actually planted for any of these guys that are ramp or even Tetris. This is actually problematic. There's a smoke too. That could complicate matters as well. Hex is the only one who can have impact, and he does. Delivers in a big way, and Sin puts it to bed. M80 at halftime make it look very simple. Back-to-back 10-2 halves.
Kind of far enough to see the big green brought out. Chicken Coop waltz their way. Tiptoe is likely the last end of a half here in Thunderpick. Will try and sound off. It's Wreckmeister that's going to go out kicking, go out damn screaming his way into market. 2 kills. He's going to have hot on the press as the remaining 3 members of M80 will try and retake. It's 2 from apartments, and they've got 4 guns up there.
Yeah, but the problem is that those are wielded by Lake. It's so difficult, but Greg is continuing to put him down. Swisher is the only remaining member here, and it will not be enough to pull it back. 2 pistol victories for Chicken Coop in Mirage. So,
Still Warriors.
That's where I was going with that, sorry.
Because when we're out here, parts of the course, when, as you like to say, the rubber meets the road and M80 get the hands fully on these guns, it's nobody's biz. UMP finds one down below. Slacks, Sin, whose turn is it now to go ahead and scar. Slacks gets a second, and then Swisher so sweet, he gets in and will complete. So it's interesting. MDS took a stint back at one point when Laffy Tease was on the squad.
He did,
and they were rocking with him for a while. Excuse me.
Yeah, that is right that he did. That seemingly pretty short-lived though.
Yeah. Lil sounds through, but here are these Tech 9 still singing. We got to see if we're actually gonna reach the octave desired. Flashy goes a little bit further. Bomb plant not going to mean much. You got to see into the end game. Unfortunately, it looks like we won't even get there. 12 now netted in and a little bit easier brought on.
I mean, anyway, the
looks like they've finally risen from those ashes, Vinny.
That's true. The quick little history lesson aside, this one's, well, probably going to be a fast move in the wrong direction. Chicken Coop likely to be seeing out of this thing almost immediately.
You said headed in the wrong direction here in this Mirage, but overall, it's the Coop headed in the right direction. Commiserations to them having a great stint over in the group stage. They absolutely threw out